appreciate you being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I trust you'll love this vibe. Everything you need to know about me is in the description below. This will be past, present, or future you or someone around you. So take a resonance, leave the rest for someone else. Remember that tarot is a tool. It is not the final rule. Collective, first card we have here is the full energy. And as you're seeing, this person is getting ready to take a leap of faith. Whenever I see the full card, first thing I think about is the first some form of confidence taking place in your life. So you could have people maybe passing judgment on you, maybe speaking poorly of you, maybe about the decisions you have made in your life, okay, choices you have made. Basically, they're in the business collective of minding your business. So people have been putting their 2 cents where they are not needed. Maybe they've talked about maybe your lifestyle, maybe people saying you party too much, you hang out too much, you're not taking life serious enough. Maybe you've been judged simply because you do not move the way other people move. You're very unorthodox, you're very unique, you're very different. You've been this way your entire life. You could have felt like you were different, but you just couldn't put your finger on it. But as time has moved forward, you have come to an understanding that you are different. You are very different. You are the magician. And you have everything you need within you. And because you have an understanding of this, therefore you go about life in a different way. Okay, and so people see you to be as someone who's non-traditional. You could be someone who is assumed to be, or maybe felt like you were the black sheep when you were in your family coming up as a small child, a young teenager, maybe even through your adulthood. Maybe so much so, maybe you are also considered to be someone who loves to be alone. Not that you're sad or depressed. You could have maybe a friend or two, whom you deal with from time to time. But people are likely when they see you, you're either, with that friend, or you're chilling by yourself. Your alone time is your glow time. Okay, I'm hearing. Okay, and so not only is this your time for you to fine tune your spiritual connection with Source, this is also your time for you to receive clarity with whatever you may be experiencing in your life. Okay. And so you're not someone, to deem, being alone as a negative thing, or doesn't mean you're depressed or you're sad. You actually take pleasure. It's your pleasure. I'm here in collective. Okay, very independent, very strong. So much so with the Six of Wands, this represents celebration and celebrate success and victory. And so people are looking at you and they are wild by you because you've been this way your entire life. And despite the judgment and maybe some kind of mistreatment, okay, maybe there was maybe people in your family who maybe treated you different from the other nieces and nephews, or sibling rivalry. Okay, I'm picking up also, but you still have found a way to move forward in life. You're very confident. Okay, very loving, kind person. But even in your adulthood, I'm picking up you love your me time. Okay, you could be someone with a small friend group. As I said, maybe you have one or two best friends whom you hang around with, okay? But you don't mind, being by yourself. You don't see it as a negative, okay? But you're very independent. You could also be someone who's very distant from their family. And when I say distant, I'm saying distant by choice, okay? You're not feuding with anyone. You're distant by choice. It's just a choice of yours. You're like, look, I'll love you from over here, okay? I'll love you from over here. I'm an adult now. I have a choice now. I can make my own choice. I'm no longer a child, okay? And so we have the Five of Cups. And so there could be people and their emotions over you, collective. There could be people reminiscing about you, missing you, thinking about you, people wishing that you weren't the way you were, I'm hearing, okay? Whatever that's supposed to mean. And what's wrong with you chilling by yourself? Okay, because I'm not picking up any negative energy here. This is just who you are. And you're also someone who likes to protect their peace. So if anyone comes across, you as not being peaceful, you're the type of person who's less likely to entertain that. You're not allowing anyone to intentionally bring this tower energy into your life. When you understand, as I said, I hear I'm grown now. You're like, I'm not a kid anymore. Y'all can't push me around. Okay. So you're not dealing with the nonsense. And so you have a right to do so, to not let the negativity into your life. If you know people are going to bring drama and toxic mess, you have a right to do so. And here you are again. As I said, you love your me time. It's nothing to you. It's nothing to you. Spirit is saying this is why you are successful, okay? You're not a follower, you're a leader. You are a leader. You're very protected, okay? You're very spiritually in tune as well, very grounded, okay? You've got the world in your hands, okay? And this is how people see you. Like, what is it with the collective? We haven't heard from them. We haven't seen from them in years. Look, the collective's doing fine. They just want you to give them 1,000 feet. Stay where you are and let them stay where they are. And everything's all good, okay? Because the true fact is, as you move forward in life, all your desires will change for each and every one of us. Doesn't matter whether this is about a relationship, friendship, family members, your desires will change. There may have been a point in a time where in your life, maybe you would go and show up to certain people's house on a regular basis. As you move forward, you've grown to desire other things. And so that's what you're doing. You're just living your life and you're doing it, vivaciously. You're looking great doing it here with the Queen of Pentacles here. Very abundant, very resourceful, and just loving life. You are your own boss, okay? You could be someone working on some kind of business, building or creating, okay? I see someone working on paperwork, getting some kind of license or some kind of license, signing some kind of contract. Maybe you're going to lease out a storefront property or something to sell your merch. Okay. Someone could also be selling merch online. Okay. All right. But your energy is just being missed so much that people, like I said, there's people in their feelings collected. There's people who are feeling left out in the cold. But guess what? That's a them problem. We are not here to make sure everyone else is happy except for ourselves. Self-preservation is key. And if your happiness and your place of peace is making sure that these toxic, negative people stay out of your life, Spirit is saying keep going, okay? No one should have the energy of entire entitlement, and you're not socially obligated, okay? Unless it's about celebration with the Four of Wands, unless it's about love, positivity, and growth. Why would anyone return to something that is unhealthy? It just doesn't make sense for the collective. And we're closing out with the beautiful sun energy here, very abundant. And this is a high card in the tarot. So this is saying and giving you confirmation that you are on the right path. So keep going, okay? It's okay to be a loner. It's okay to have, I keep hearing you have one or two friends, associates, and it's okay, okay? You know who you are, and you are someone who's walking in your purpose. Doesn't matter what your career is. It doesn't have to be anything connected to spirituality, but you are in your purpose and very spiritually connected, very grounded, and very confident, okay? All right? And so those whom you have left behind who are sad and mad because you're choosing to live your own life, that's a them problem. That has nothing to do with you. You cannot correct those emotions that they have. Those feelings, whoever that is, who's feeling sad and depressed because you're not around, that is someone who is going through a misappropriation of emotions and feelings, because they really should be pouring into themselves and focusing on the things that they desire in their life, so that they can hold, the globe in their hand, and, be standing at the top, of their castle, or making business decisions or making decisions, where will I travel, this season? Where should we go next? They should be focusing on planting their own seeds. We all are uniquely, individually, divinely created. Okay, we all have our own path and mission, and it makes no sense, not even a dollar, to spend your time and energy so overly, obsessively, excessively focused on someone else's life or lifestyle. Because when you do that, you take away from yourself. You don't want to take away from you. You want to make sure you get all that you can get while you're here on the planet Earth. As I always say, I don't care who you are. I'm pretty sure you at least want to experience this a little bit of bliss and happiness while you're here, so you got to be careful with really being in the business of minding someone else's business too much, because sometimes humans can overexert themselves in the wrong areas. It's okay to be concerned and say you care about someone, but when you're too passionate and you're excessive about the choices of what someone else is doing, then that means it's time to go in self-reflection mode and find out why is it that you are taking away from yourself so much time and energy, as precious as life is, and choosing to give it to someone else in their timeline. It's time to go in reflection mode and figure that out. That's a serious issue. I mean, if you let that marinate for a minute, it's very critical, collective. When you take, as precious as life is, when you take the time and energy and excessively exert it in someone else's life, or what they're doing, what choices they're making, when you're just too overly concerned. And it's out of your control anyway. The choices you make for you is for you. It's not for other people to understand. They can have their opinions, that's natural, but really it's not for them to understand. Okay? All right, this concludes the read. I trust and hope it assists you for your highest good. Later.